Hi everyone, my name is Frank Perez Ortega. I did my presentation on the small islands off the coast of Africa named Seychelles. It's just a collection of islands, just to make up one big nation. And yeah, I'll go ahead and get right down to it. So welcome, and this is my cross-cultural travel presentation on Seychelles. So to begin, there's a lot of cultural things that go on in Seychelles. So it is a blend of European, British, African, Indian, and Moorish cultures. It's mostly a lot of African descent, but also there's a couple bit of native, but it's a lot of like what we see here in Louisiana with the Creole nature. And so they do practice Catholicism over there and a bit of Anglo-Christian, and the rest is a small makeup of Hindu and Islam sort of religions, but I think the vast majority of people definitely practice Catholicism over there, as the French did come during that period of colonization around the world to go to the islands, and a lot of people picked up the religion in there. And what we can see here is an example of the Creole Festival, and it's very similar to Mardi Gras. They have the stuff in front of like the hotels and whatnot, and they do a big sort of display on things there. And there's a lot of costumes and a lot of really cool things that go on with it. And yeah, no, it's very cool. So my apologies on those. So the language differences. So they mostly speak Creole over there. It's mostly specifically the Seychellois Creole, and just like a bits of other things, just like this French, English, and like a bit of other languages that compose up the island's makeup. And as we can see here with the sign, it does mean slow down, children at play, and that's Creole sign. So nonverbal behavior. So with it being an island and having sort of that island vibe to it, it's very easygoing and slow paced. So a lot of people that you're gonna meet up there is like there's nothing gonna be too difficult, whatnot. Everything's just like, hey, how are you? And like really like loose vibes and whatnot. And there's no really sense of formality really. Um, it's just more just like everybody's kind of enjoying each other, the presence of each other, going out, doing stuff. Um, and then we see other things through facial expressions. So obviously most of our communication is nonverbal, and they do exhibit that. They do see like a lot of things. So like they smile a lot, they nod their heads a lot, and it's usually to make sure that you know that they're listening to what you have to say. And um, as we can see, like eye contact for them specifically is very um important to uphold that because it means that you're actually paying attention and following along to what they're saying. And body language, so just normal body language shows just like closed, like if you like have your arms closed off, kind of like to yourself, it means like you kind of don't want to be talked to. Kind of like an open body language, it means you're receiving to messages. So as we can see, that's just a normal common trend that we see here. Manners, so usually just wave, nod, handshake is common. A lot of people just tend to like it's like a lot of handshakes go on between males. For women, usually it's like the kiss on the cheeks and whatnot. And specifically, children are expected to kiss on the cheeks of those adults that they've never met. Um, just like you know how like the French do and like the movies and whatnot, just kissing on the cheek, or like the Europeans do on the cheek. My apologies. What else? So of course, as I touched on, a lot of nodding, making sure that you know that there's a lot of communication and that you are receiving the messages that people are trying to convey. And wave, of course, just is just one of those things that you do to say hi to somebody, and making sure like they you know that they see you and you see them. And yeah, it's just very polite to wave and be able to like just catch up with them and say like, hi, how are you and whatnot. And yeah, no, it's very easy going, just making sure that you're in touch with those around you. So etiquette. So etiquette, it goes down to a lot of different things. So personal etiquette, we can talk about how, as I just mentioned, personal etiquette, like it's very laid back and whatnot. People are expected to not really expected to have a certain dress code around, as I guess it's more of an island vibe. People are just very chill, kind of like just wearing beach clothes, um, just wearing things that like you would normally wear to the beach and swimsuits and whatnot, and a lot of cultural sort of clothing. Business wise, so business, people are addressed at a first name basis whenever they're conducting business, if it has to be done, because usually what they try to do is try to conduct things to before they need to get to business. Like business is the absolute last resort that they want to get to. And it's made like it's very ad hoc, if you will. And then business cards specifically are just handed with one hand and are addressed on a first name basis. So this is a contrast to what we see with like some Asian cultures where there's like a bowing of heads, or like they hand the business cards with two hands, or you put the business card in your front pocket, because if you put it in the back pocket, perhaps it could be like a sign of like you're sitting on their identity, and it could be rubbed in the wrong way. But with Seychelles, it's pretty laid back. You just hand your business card, they'll address you by the first name. Um, as I mentioned, direct eye contact is very needed. Bargaining is not very common, so that's one thing that definitely differs, is that they do not want to get to a confrontational stage. They want to just keep like that easygoing nature to it. It's like, oh, like I want this, but like I can really give that up. Like it's truly not all that necessary. Like there's not a sense of urgency or necessity when these transactions are being done. So there's more trying to get to an agreeable point to where everybody's kind of listening and trying to solve this problem that's necessary. So the food. So touching on the food of Seychelles, they, as you would expect as of an island nation, a lot of their foods are based on seafood sort of things. They do not really get much like dairy, like the usual common types of like farm animals and whatnot. So as we can see by the first picture, they do love their calamari, like the octopus and some rice. And then with the second picture, we see some more rice and fish. And then this third picture that we see, this is a famous dish that is very common there as well as in the Philippines, and it's called cassava pudding. So it's a plant called cassava, and there's a lot of tea plantations around the island that we can see, and then specifically the Bois cherry plantation has a really good vanilla tea, and and a lot of these plantations also make this custard sort of thing with like coconut milk, and it's really good supposedly. That's what I've heard from a lot of the different sites that I was researching, and it's a lot very positively received. Yeah, for sure. And as you can see, they do things like potatoes, so a lot of stuff that you can grow sort of like an island setting, and then they do also like drink normal like coffee and whatnot and all that stuff. So on the family life, they do have an emphasis on the nuclear family. They do want people to be kind of like together. They're not really believing in terms of things of divorce or separation or things of like having a child out of wedlock or having just a child without being married and whatnot. So they do want to push an emphasis on the nuclear family. And through my research, I did find out that a lot of this was kind of like based on the unfortunate circumstances of slavery that the island was put through. And this is and a lot of the and it was a very it's very matriarchal in the sense where the woman is in charge of the household, specifically because she's the person who gives birth, and with that comes the things of giving charge and putting the emphasis on what the children need to do and what's expected of the family. And they excuse me, the women are basically the ones in power of the family, and the father's just put there to go to work and help support the woman and that around the house and to help the children and whatnot. And they do not I'm not sure if they're not very much on homosexual relationships. So that's definitely something you see different there. It's very conservative sort of thing. And that could be traced back to more of just like traditional beliefs or conservative beliefs. And finally, I have some like really good top destinations. So this first picture is from a place, uh, excuse me, it's a little island. And yeah, no, as you can see, a lot of these things are very island nations, and the islands are absolutely beautiful. I would definitely go here. And looking through the pictures, it just reminds me a lot of like the Caribbean islands because I come from Puerto Rico, and the islands just look fantastic. There's a bunch of palm trees and whatnot. And there's a lot of nature like tourist sort of things, although they don't get much tourism because it's a very unheard of sort of location. But yeah, no. So there's a place called Bird Island. Bird Island is a bunch of like there's obviously by the name, there's a bunch of birds there. And the birds just settle around the island and they take you by boat over there to just go see how many birds there are, how many different types of birds. And they have specific guides as to what kind of birds you can normally find on the island depending on what time of year because of the migrations that go on. And but if not, for sure, the beach is definitely a big thing. Just when and anywhere one of those islands, the beaches that you can find are absolutely beautiful. White sandy beaches and water that you can just see right through. And then in terms of like the nature aspect, it's definitely much like what you would see like an island. I feel like it has a lot of similarities to like to Fiji Islands or to the Caribbean islands or even stuff like that because a lot of it's just the vibes and sort of the atmosphere that's around there is like completely just an island vibe. And there's a lot of just trees and whatnot, and it's not very touched by commercial spaces, so that you're not going to find a lot of chain restaurants. A lot of stuff is very much local. They try to keep their things within like local things there. Like you're not going to find obviously McDonald's or anything like that around the island, at least not to the prominence that you'll see here in the US, obviously. And so you're definitely be eating a lot of local foods and whatnot, a lot of coconut stuff. They do enjoy their coconut milk and coconut juices over there, as well as coconut water. And as you can see a lot, and also as you can see back from what I touched on earlier, a lot of fish-based diets and just yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a beach environment. It definitely would implore people to come. And excuse me, there was a couple more beaches specifically that there were around. So um the beaches in Seychelles to my the May is the main one. So they obviously have a bunch of hotels. That's like probably the most touristy side of Seychelles. And there's also La Digue. Proslin is the one that we see here pictured on the left here. And then Beauvolan is a very common place where you can see a lot and just a lot of these things. A lot of the activities to do here is definitely like go on the beach, snorkel, sea turtles. That's more on the side where there's Takamaka, excuse me. And then there's the side where you can see there's also a casino there in Beauvolan, excuse me. And this place here on the right is Coppola Trail. It's a 1.4 kilometer trail that is on one of the islands, and you can just walk around there and see the beautiful views that there is that the island has to offer with all the amount of green and whatnot that they have. And yeah, no, it's absolutely a beautiful place. And then there's other islands that are very popular. So the island of Praslin is if you're feeling more on the nature side, it definitely has the Anse Lanzio Beach and Praslin National Park. And there's also the an Anse Source d'Argent à Vauvert Reserve and La Digue Beach. So yeah, it's definitely the type of place you'd want to go to if you're definitely more of a beach person like myself. And definitely, it was a beautiful thing to stumble upon. And the beaches are definitely very safe to swim in. Just be mindful of the tides and the rip currents that go on. Um, it's very much to your own safety, though it is pretty safe. And the resorts have bought up some parts of the beaches, but definitely the beach is definitely free to go to. And just it's a but a Drownings are obviously common. Well, drownings can occur obviously, and some beaches lack the safety information that they may need for normal sort of standings. And yeah, I believe that's it for my presentation. So I really appreciate you all listening to my presentation, and I really hope that you take the chance and to look at Seychelles as a popular destination choice. I personally love it, and yeah, no, I hope you guys have a great day. Go Tigers.